Underage drinking affects the mental illness of every young individual, causes social incapability, and affects physical health.
How do you feel about underage drinking?
I feel like underage drinking is very stupid.
When was your first time drinking? Do you do it to fit in?
No, I don't do it to fit in, but my first time was in 2014, Halloween. It was nighttime.
How is your social life due to underage drinking?
It doesn't affect my social life because I do it like once a year or twice a year when there's a big party and we turn up.
How do you occur your alcohol due to you being underage?
Sometimes my friends already has to drink from their coworkers, and sometimes my sister buys it for me.
Do your parents know you're drinking?
Yes, they're well aware of it.
What can you say to people who think drinking is not a serious problem?
I just want to tell them that it is actually a serious problem because it can cause car accidents when they're drunk, and that can greatly impact other people's lives. That's it.
What do you think are the mannerisms of a student who is suffering from drinking?
So, students, or I guess anybody who's been drinking, especially if they have more alcohol in their system than they can handle, sometimes are drowsy, sometimes they have slurred speech, their reactions are definitely slowed. Um, Students in particular are not good to have in school because they're probably either going to be tired and sleepy or just not very alert.
How are their academic performance?
Um, I guess it's hard to say because students could come to school under the influence or, on a occasional basis, and they could have A's. So it's hard to say the data on that. But I would guess that if a student drank alcohol frequently, or on the days the student did drink alcohol and was under the influence, that their academics would suffer during that time period.
What are your suggestions to stop underage drinking? What could be the possible program that the counseling office can do to help to lessen or eradicate underage drinking?
So I think that's a really good question, but I think it's not just something that the counseling department can do. I think it's something that would be school or even community wide. But specifically with the counseling department, something we could do is like what we've done with our anti-bullying campaign this year, is we could possibly roll out more assemblies or I guess presentations that target drinking and drug use. And then we also have other programs that are out there that we can refer parents and students to if they need help and support. But I really think it's something that the whole school and even the whole community should be a part of.
How do you feel about underage drinking?
I think underage drinking is a part of being a teenager, but it's probably very bad for your social health because it's kind of, irresponsible sometimes.
When was your first time drinking? Do you do it to fit in?
My first time drinking, I don't think I've ever drank, at least not socially, and I no, I don't do it to fit in because I already don't fit in. But I don't do it to fit in.
How is your social life due to underage drinking?
It's pretty normal. I don't do that, so.
How do you occur your alcohol due to you being underage?
Like before, like when you used to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not really different. Yeah, that was, no, I'm sorry.
Do your parents know you're drinking?
My parents know nothing of my habits. I'm a secret person.
If they knew, what would they do to you?
They would probably punish me very badly. Probably never go outside again. Never see my face.
What can you say to people who think drinking is not a serious problem?
I would say that you probably have never been in contact with someone who did drink or has drank very badly, because it has very negative ramifications in terms of social behaviors and mental behaviors, and it's really serious, and you should only do it in moderation and when you're old enough.
How do you feel about underage drinking?
I think that as long as they're responsible and they're not going around like hurting other people and they're just in a safe place, then I think it's not a big deal if they're not hurting anyone.
When was your first time drinking, and did you do it to fit in?
No, my first time drinking was Father's Day of 2014. My dad sat me down and told me to drink a beer with him because it was Father's Day, and that was the first time I drank. It wasn't peer pressure or anything.
How is your social life due to underage drinking?
I think the fact that a lot of kids party and they go out, they think they need to drink to fit in, but that's not necessarily the case. Like, you can just go to have fun. And peer pressure, I think that's kind of like, it doesn't really exist. Like, no one ever thinks like, oh, if you don't drink, you're not cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How do you acquire your alcohol due to you being underage?
I know I have older friends, or my boyfriend's mom will get us beer.
Is there any restrictions from your parents or whoever to ask about partying?
No. I'm 18, so it doesn't really apply.
What are your disciplinary action on this?
Disciplinary action?
Yeah, like your parents' wise?
Oh, well, funny thing, it didn't happen to me, but with my brother, they caught him drinking. He was drunk. He was drunk when he came home, and they made him sit down and take like 8 shots as his punishment. So that's that.
What can you say to people who think teen drinking is not a serious problem?
I kind of agree. I mean, it needs to be under control. Like, it needs to not be, we can't be having kids drinking and driving and going out and hurting people, but we need to teach them as long as they're being safe and they're making good choices, then it's not a big deal.
How do you feel about underage drinking?
I feel underage drinking is pretty predominant in the world and society we live in today. I believe social media, along with media such as newspapers, movies, TV shows, think it's acceptable for teenagers to be underage drinking. Peer pressure these days is very dominant in our world. Thus, there exists underage drinking.
Based on your observation, how are the academic performances of your students who are troubled due to drinking?
Well, typically, students don't come to class under the influence, but if they are under the influence, then there is no academic progress because they are too drunk to function, and they're throwing up outside the classroom and sometimes inside the classroom. So there is no academic progress from students who suffer from this issue.
As a teacher, what can you suggest to stop underage drinking?
Go to church. What I mean by that is surround yourself with a better support system and group of friends who will not pressure you into making poor decisions. And if you have ultimate goals in mind, like college and professionalism, then you will not partake in those kind of actions.
Okay. What do you think are the mannerism of a student who is suffering from drinking?
Their attitude gets a lot worse. They end up start doing not very great stuff, and they start going across the street, start hanging out with the wrong people. It's just, why can't you wait till you're 21? God damn it! Why you gotta get a fake ID, drink, top shoulder, and live life? You young. Do smart things.
Okay, what are your suggestions to stop underage drinking?
Stop underage drinking.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I mean, that's hard to control because there are stupid people out there who's gonna be at a 7-Eleven, at an Evermart, where there's gonna have a young kid come up to him, and then they're gonna be, hey, excuse me, sir, can you buy me this? Whatever. They feel bad because they're like, these kids just want to have a good time, but doesn't mean it's always gonna end up being a good time.
Many more young people use alcohol than tobacco or illegal drugs. In 2014, about 3 million 12 to 17-year-olds, or 11.5% of this age group, reported using alcohol during the past month. As young people grow older, the chance that they will use alcohol grows. About 10% of 12-year-olds report that they have tried alcohol. By age 18, nearly 70% say they have had at least one drink.
Young people seldom drink alone. In fact, nearly 80% of those drinking underage in 2013 were with two or more people the last time they drank. The National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism has found that alcohol used by a friend makes it very likely that a young person already is using alcohol or might start drinking. Alcohol used by young people often occur in a home setting. In 2013, 52% of 12 to 20-year-olds who drank reported that they last drank in someone else's house, and 34% reported that the drinking occurred in their own home.
Teens drink less often than adults, but when teens do drink, they drink more than adults. On average, young people have about 5 drinks on a single occasion. This dangerous behavior is called binge drinking. It increases the risk of serious problems and even death. Alcohol use by young people often is made possible by adults. After all, teens can't legally purchase alcohol on their own.